that he can't stop. Not only does he see speed, does he see power, but he sees a lot of heart in it. Now I'm the one who has the power. Now I'm the one. Canelo said he doesn't fight. He fights for greatness. He fights for titles. Well, let me go pick up all the titles.
Welcome back to the channel. In a recent interview, David Benavidez opened up about his relentless drive to prove himself, explaining that he still hasn't been given the opportunities that fully reflect his talent. He revealed that he's been dedicated to the sport for 11 years and believes his breakthrough moment will come. Benavidez highlighted that he stays focused and motivated because he's confident in his ability to reach the very top. He also made it clear that his love for boxing hasn't waned, and his determination remains as fierce as ever.
If you guys doubt me in anything outside of the boxing, never doubt my character, never doubt my competitiveness. I have the spirit of a warrior, and I'm, extremely excited to show you guys against all the best fighters in the world what I'm really made of, because this is what I'm here for. This is my destiny.
David Benavidez also emphasized that he is completely committed to reaching the sport's highest level, confident that nothing can stand in the way of his ultimate goals. He stated that everyone recognizes his fearlessness, focus, and readiness to take on any opponent required to earn respect in the ring. Speaking with unwavering confidence and relentless determination, he reiterated that his mission is to join the ranks of boxing's elite, fully prepared to overcome any obstacle that comes his way.
In David Benavidez's stock, we have a lot of great fights on the table. And you guys know I'm going to take every single one of them. I'm not going to run from anything, because at the end of the day, this is my destiny. If it's my destiny to go through these hard fights and win these world titles, that's what I'm going to do. This is what boxing is about. I'm sick of seeing fighters getting the easiest fights just because they're getting the biggest paychecks. At the end of the day, it's not even about money. It's about giving the fans of boxing the great fights that they deserve. They're paying the money at the end of the day, so let's go to war. Let's do what these people want to see us do, and let's go.
In that same interview, David Benavidez opened up about how his ambitions took root at a young age, sharing that even as a kid he dreamed big and always believed he was meant for greatness. He revealed that his daily grind is relentless because he understands that true success comes from action in the ring and defeating top-tier opponents, not just talking about it. Benavidez emphasized that his focus remains on staying disciplined, composed, and fully immersed in his craft, avoiding unnecessary distractions or arguments. For him, real greatness is measured by accomplishments, not chatter. He added that the moment the entire boxing world acknowledges and respects his achievements will be the moment that truly feels like triumph.
That's not going to let anything outside the ring, mess with this game. Since I was 3 years old, I've had one dream only. That's becoming the greatest boxer of all time, and that's exactly what we're going to accomplish. We're almost there, and we're going to keep going until there's nobody left.
In today's biggest headline, David Benavidez didn't hold anything back, boldly stating that Canelo Alvarez is hesitant to face him in the ring and has consistently avoided making the fight a reality. Benavidez argued that the true reason for this reluctance is Canelo's recognition of just how dangerous and skilled he really is. He pointed out that his own size, power, and relentless pressure create real problems, and he cited Canelo's fight with Dimitri Bivol as evidence, showing how Alvarez seemed uneasy against a naturally bigger, stronger opponent. Benavidez added that while Canelo often dominates smaller fighters, he becomes far more cautious when facing larger, more powerful opponents like himself, wary of the risks that such a challenge could bring.
My presence he's definitely scared of me. If you have a fighter talking so much trash in front of you, why don't you make an example of him to the world? Beat me in the ring and make a whole lot of money. But Canelo Alvarez, as you can see from every time he fights a guy that's big with power, like Bivol, and he's not able to press these fighters.
Continuing his fearless approach, David Benavidez acknowledged that earlier in his career, while still developing and finding his stride, Canelo Alvarez may have held the advantage and could have even beaten him. However, he insists that the fighter he was back then no longer exists. Benavidez explained that he has transformed into a completely new force in boxing, one that now poses a serious and dangerous challenge to anyone in the division. He believes Canelo fully recognizes the threat he presents, the size, the power, the refined skills, and relentless determination, and that awareness alone complicates any potential matchup. Confident in his growth, Benavidez declared he is ready to prove himself on the sport's biggest stage, asserting that his record already reflects his talent, while his ultimate goal is to elevate it further by conquering every obstacle on his path to the top.
With me way back then, because if he had a chance to beat me, it would have been back then. He has no chance of beating me now, especially now. I'm getting all this confidence. I'm stepping into my prime. I'm able to deal with these bigger shows better. You know what I mean? I'm able to thrive in these shows. I'm able to, every time I fight, I'm always winning by a significant amount. You know what I mean? So I'm learning my craft better and better each and every single fight. I'm gaining more confidence every single fight, and like I said, I really want to go in there and hurt people. I'm not a
Furthermore, reflecting on Canelo Alvarez, Mexican boxer's recent defeat to Terence Crawford, David Benavidez didn't hesitate to give credit where it was due, calling Crawford one of the sport's all-time greats and highlighting achievements that most fighters only dream of but rarely approach. He described Crawford's performance as a masterclass, defined by control, precision, and clear dominance. Benavidez noted that Crawford faced significant challenges moving up in weight, but navigated the transition with remarkable composure and focus. He stressed that moving up 3 divisions to defeat one of the top pound-for-pound fighters of this era was something few thought possible, but Crawford accepted the challenge, proved the doubters wrong, and secured a victory that further cemented his place among boxing's elite.
Your thoughts on Crawford's performance against Canelo, because he beat you to it. What do you think about how Crawford did?
First of all, I just want to give Terence Crawford a great congratulations. He's reached a part in history that only so many fighters get to even accomplish in boxing.
Most importantly, even as David Benavidez continues to push for a clash with Canelo Alvarez, veteran trainer Ronnie Shields has urged caution, suggesting this could be the ideal moment for Canelo to consider stepping away from the sport. Shields praised Canelo's career as nothing short of extraordinary, packed with major victories and defining moments that have already solidified his place in boxing history. He emphasized that Canelo has nothing left to prove and argued it might be wiser to retire on his own terms rather than risk another high-stakes fight that could potentially overshadow the incredible legacy he has built over the years.
It's over. Right now, I don't really truly, I don't feel he should fight anymore. He had one of the best careers anybody could ever have. He's done everything he set out to do. What's next? To prove what? He has nothing to prove. He's already proved everything. And I think right now, the door is closed. He should shut it himself and say, you know what? I've had a great career. That's enough is enough.
So Benavidez fight doesn't catch your attention?
No.
Looking back, Ronnie Shields had already predicted that Terence Crawford would defeat Canelo Alvarez even before the fighters entered the ring. After the bout, he stood firmly by his prediction, explaining that he always believed Crawford's speed and sharp reflexes would overwhelm Canelo over the course of the fight. Shields pointed out that Crawford's unusual stance, switch-hitting ability, and high ring IQ were his most dangerous assets, allowing him to exploit gaps in Canelo's movement and timing. He highlighted how Crawford executed a smart, disciplined strategy, targeting weaknesses rather than engaging in reckless exchanges. In the end, Shields described the match as a masterclass in skill, intelligence, and tactical precision, praising Crawford for delivering a performance that demonstrated the very highest level of boxing artistry.
Decision. You got that. And I just thought Crawford was too fast for Canelo. Too many combinations. Canelo doesn't jab anymore. He looked for one shot now. The end is there for Canelo. And I just say that Crawford was too fast for him, especially in the southpaw position. We all know Canelo have problems with the southpaw. So, and that's why I picked Crawford. I just thought.
As discussions about his future heated up, Ronnie Shields recommended that Canelo Alvarez consider retirement, but Oscar de la Hoya countered, insisting that the ultimate choice belongs solely to Canelo. He explained that if Canelo feels ready to step away, he should do so on his own terms. However, if he decides to keep fighting, he must be extremely careful and selective with his opponents at this stage of his career. Reflecting on Canelo's recent bout with Terence Crawford, de la Hoya acknowledged that Crawford was too sharp and powerful on the night, once again demonstrating why he is regarded as one of the very best in the sport. He stressed that Crawford's brilliance comes from his ability to read different styles, adapt in real time, and craft the perfect strategy to dismantle whoever stands across from him in the ring.
Canelo, so we can't use the excuse that he's older, right? Can't use the excuse that, oh, well, he moved around too much. Well, it's your job to figure him out, right? It's like, you can figure styles out. That's your job. I think Crawford did a tremendous job. Kudos to him. Sky's the limit for Crawford. And
Furthermore, reflecting on Canelo Alvarez's career, Oscar de la Hoya shared his thoughts on what's next for Terence Crawford, noting that such a dominant win would only boost Crawford's confidence and intensify his drive for even bigger challenges. He suggested that Crawford is unlikely to drop back down to 154 pounds, as he now seems more comfortable at 168, where he has already proven he can compete with top-level opponents. Still, de la Hoya added that if a truly compelling opportunity arose at 160, Crawford might consider returning to that division for the right matchup. He pointed to Virgil Ortiz Jr. as perhaps the most exciting and competitive option currently available, calling it a thrilling clash that could capture the attention of boxing fans around the world.
At 160. Imagine that. It would be incredible. So there's a good possibility that Crawford will stay at 168. Most likely go down to 160. I don't think he's going to touch 154. I think he'll stay at 160 eventually and try to find the biggest fights possible. And the biggest fight.
Dan Rafael observed that the opening rounds of the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford were fairly competitive, but noted that Crawford not only managed the fight intelligently, he ultimately dominated and claimed the victory over Canelo. Rafael praised Crawford's mental approach and ring awareness both before and during the bout, calling them exceptional and highly strategic. Many analysts had initially questioned Crawford's chances due to Canelo's size and experience edge, yet Rafael highlighted that Crawford's discipline, focus, and unwavering determination were the key factors that earned him a well-deserved win on fight night.
Close. I had Canelo ahead in the early going, but I thought Crawford did an amazing job closing that fight down in the last few rounds, where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance, so what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him and said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that.
Furthermore, Dan Rafael noted that while a rematch between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford would undoubtedly be thrilling, it might not be the best move for either fighter at this stage of their careers. He suggested that both athletes consider other major opportunities instead of rushing back into the same matchup, advising Canelo to carefully weigh the pros and cons of his next step. Rafael also highlighted that Crawford's win over Canelo has significantly elevated his standing, and many top-tier fighters may now be eager to challenge him. However, he stressed that Crawford needs to thoughtfully assess future options, taking into account weight classes, the importance of potential bouts, and championship implications before choosing his next opponent.
And then, to the Hamza Shiraz, I mean, those types of names, he's got mandatories, Mabili got the draw tonight in a great fight. There's other fighters that have belts and interim belts and blah, blah, blah. So, no one's going to rush Terence Crawford into his next fight. They'll take his time, and, whatever the next fight is, it's going to be a big one because, his name is even greater now than what happened going into this fight for him. So he beats Canelo out.
Everyone acknowledges that Canelo Alvarez has had a remarkable career, boasting one of the most impressive records in modern boxing. He claimed world titles across 4 weight classes, evolving from a promising young prospect in Mexico into a global superstar, defeating elite opponents like Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, and Sergey Kovalev. His wins highlighted not just his powerful counterpunching, but also his adaptability to various styles and strategies, proving he could perform on boxing's biggest stages while becoming one of the sport's most respected and marketable champions. Now, let's explore how Shane Mosley, a fighter known for his discipline, skill, and relentless drive for greatness, reflects on his experience against Canelo and what it reveals about Alvarez's enduring legacy.
120 years old. He had a lot of experience, I should say. He had a lot of boxing experience at his age. Huh?
He had 40 or 50 fights at that point, right?
50 fights, but not just that. I'm talking about experience as far as knowledge about being the real, experience. Like veteran experience. Like he knew how to counter, he knew how to block and counter, do all these different things. So it wasn't like he was just an ordinary fighter. And I was like, and fighting him, I'm like, wow. He actually knows how to get away from stuff. He knows how to counter. He knows how to
Furthermore, the clashes between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin stand out as some of his most defining moments, with both bouts being fiercely competitive and highlighting his ability to thrive in high-pressure contests. He also cemented his place in boxing history by becoming the undisputed super middleweight champion, defeating Caleb Plant and unifying all major titles in the division. Throughout his career, Canelo has consistently taken on formidable challenges across multiple weight classes, demonstrating a willingness to risk everything in pursuit of greatness. His career showcases longevity, technical mastery, and the relentless fighting spirit emblematic of Mexico's boxing tradition, qualities that have made him one of the era's most recognizable fighters. Meanwhile, David Benavidez has emerged as a dominant force in the super middleweight division, boasting an undefeated record and a reputation for relentless pressure and knockout power. At just 20, he became the youngest fighter to claim the WBC title twice, with notable wins over opponents like Anthony Dirrell, David Lemieux, and Caleb Plant. His career trajectory continues to rise, with many analysts viewing him as a future leader of the 168-pound division. Now, let's take a closer look at his reaction following his victory over Anthony Dirrell.
Yeah.